My silly senses are tingling. That must mean a new Gouda event is near. Hello everyone, Soberoni of G&A Reviews here, bringing you a spotlight for the servant whose chuuni levels are so high she'll even embarrass Summer Jolter, mysterious Ranmaru X. We'll be examining her stats and skills, as well as going over pointers to how to utilize her effectively, and an overall grade comparing her to how she stacks up to the other 4-star servants. So if you're a fan of eye patches and heterochromia, then make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and ring my bell so you can catch all of these spotlight videos as they go up, and you can help out the channel. And now, onto Ranmaru's stats. Ranmaru has a max HP of 10,241 and a max attack of 9,872, which becomes 10,859 due to her Avenger class damage modifier. There aren't many SR Avengers to compare her to, but among the small group, she does have the second highest HP, but below average attack. Compared to the other 4-star servants overall, Ranmaru's HP is among the lowest in her rarity, but she does have high attack to make up for it. When it comes to her command cards, Ranmaru has 4 hits on her quick card, 2 hits on her art, 2 hits on her buster, and 5 hits on her extra card. She has an NP gain rate of 0.45% and a star rate of 6%. Ranmaru's NP gain is abysmal due to both her low NP gain rate and her low hit counts, but her star generating is a little bit better. Overall, Ranmaru has a very top-heavy stat spread with heavy focus on attack and star generating while being awful everywhere else. Taking a look at her skills, Ranmaru's first skill is Ranmaru Hand Humble Thyself rank B. It increases one ally's crit star absorption rate for 1 turn between 3,000 and 5,000%, and it also increases their crit strength for 1 turn between 30 and 50%, both effects depending on level. Finally, it'll also cleanse them of their debuffs. Her second skill is Ranmaru Eye, aren't they lovely, those eyes? Rank A. It has a 40% chance to charm all enemies for 1 turn, reduces their defense for 3 turns between 10 and 20% depending on level, and it generates 10 crit stars. And finally, her last skill is Ranmaru Straw, rank A. This skill increases her own arch card effectiveness for 3 turns between 20 and 30%, and it charges her own NP gauge between 10 and 20%, both effects depending on level, and it again generates 10 crit stars. As for her passives, Ranmaru has Avenger rank C, which increases her own NP gain by 16% when taking damage, but does reduce the party's debuff resistance by 6%. She has Oblivion Correction rank E, which increases her crit damage by 2%, Ranminium rank EX, which increases her arch card effectiveness by 3% and generates 3% NP charge every turn, Existence Outside the Domain rank D, which generates 2 crit stars every turn and increases her own debuff resist by 4%, Magic Resistance rank C, which increases her debuff resist by 15%, and Affection of the Demon King rank EX, which grants her burn immunity. Moving on to her deck and Noble Phantasm, Ranmaru has an Arts Buster deck with Quick, Arts Buster Buster, and an Arts Noble Phantasm. Her Noble Phantasm is Orchid Rounds X. It's an AoE Arts attack that deals damage to all enemies with a damage modifier between 450 and 750% depending on NP level. It also ignores defensive buffs on all enemies and increases Ranmaru's crit star generating for 1 turn between 100 and 300% depending on overcharge. Ranmaru is a welfare, so she's fairly easy to ascend. For level ascension, she just needs 4 mysterious substances, which you can obtain for free from the event, but for her skills, Ranmaru requires a surprising amount of gold mats. For skill leveling, she's going to need 8 Heroes Proof and 8 Bones, 10 Fiendish Chains, Bloodstone Tears and Magatamas, and 12 Reactor Cores, Hearts of a Foreign God, and Comet Shards per skill. Man, it really seems like we're swimming in welfare servants lately. First Summer Vinci, then Liz, and now Ranmaru, all in pretty much back-to-back-to-back events. What's more, both Liz and Da Vinci were pretty good servants. So the question is, does Ranmaru keep the trend of strong welfares going? Well, from a stats perspective, she is the complete opposite of Liz. Instead of being balanced across the board, Ranmaru has excellent attack and decent start generating, and then horrible NP gain and HP. Make no mistake, Ranmaru is purely offensive, and she's all about that damage. Now, normally, poor NP gain is a death sentence for any servant, especially in the current meta, but Ranmaru does have a few tricks up her sleeve to actually turn that weakness into a strength. Her passive, Ranminium X, gives her a small passive boost to her arts cards and a small NP battery every turn, but the skill that really puts in the work for Ranmaru is without a doubt her third one, Ranmaru Straw. It's a 20% NP charge that also bolsters her arch card effectiveness by 30%, as well as sports her a small burst of 10 crit stars. This is a fairly strong skill for bolstering Ranmaru's NP gain and looping potential. The battery is small, but every bit matters, especially when combined with mana loading, while the buff to Arch Card effectiveness also gives Ranmaru a big boost to the refund on her NP, on top of being a nice damage steroid. The 10 crit stars are the least important part of the skill, but they do provide good crit potential to Ranmaru, and it has excellent synergy with her first skill, Ranmaru Hand, Humble Thyself. This is a huge star absorb buff that also buffs Ranmaru's crit damage considerably for a turn. Avengers naturally have some of the lowest crit star weights in the entire game, so this is a tremendous upgrade for Ranmaru and enables her to actually make use of the crit stars that she generates. Think of it as a smaller version of Jolter's self-modification. Unfortunately, the buff only lasts for a single turn, but it does have a very short cooldown, so it is easily abusable in Arch crit teams with cooldown reduction. In addition to the crit buffing though, this skill also cleanses Ranmaru's debuffs, which gives her some good utility, especially when you consider again how low the cooldown on this skill is. Finally, Ranmaru also has an AoE debuff skill with Ranmaru Eye. It decreases the defense of all enemies by 20%, has a low chance to charm them, and generates 10 crit stars. AoE defense down is never bad, and it acts like a less reliable charisma. The debuff does work well for softening enemy waves when looping though, so it does help Ranmaru a lot in farming teams. Unfortunately though, the other parts of the skill aren't as good. The charm chance is just too low to be useful in most cases, and while being able to generate another 10 crit stars is nice, and it ties directly into her first skill, it's a minimum benefit. You should definitely prioritize Ranmaru's arch buff first, since it's by far her best skill, and it enables her to farm effectively, followed by her defense down for the additional buffing, and then the crit buff last. Although, if you are planning on going full crit Maru and not using her as a farmer at all, then you can pick up her crit buff second instead. Her only append skill worth taking is mana loading for the slightly more consistent looping. Ranmaru's Noble Phantasm is an AoE arch attack that ignores defense and increases her start generating by a massive amount for a turn. Defense ignoring NPs are great. A lot of challenge quests and bosses rely on stacking defense buffs, so having a welfare that everyone can pick up that just bypasses all of that is already amazing. But the real star of this Noble Phantasm is the fact that it's an AoE arch attack with a good number of hits. That means it has excellent synergy in Castoria teams and can enable Ranmaru to actually loop consistently despite her low natural NP gain. The star generating can also be useful for fueling her DPS in crit Maru builds too, so you shouldn't overlook that overcharge effect either. But arch farming is by far Ranmaru's best role. Since she's a free NP5 Avenger with an Arch Noble Phantasm, she can serve as a budget Spishtar for those of you who missed out on her. In fact, NP5 Ranmaru actually out damages NP1 Spishtar. But don't get it twisted, Spishtar is still far more consistent and better for farming overall than Ranmaru, even at NP1. But still, the fact that we're getting a free servant that can even be compared to Spishtar is amazing. Ranmaru will likely be the best free-to-play arch farming option for many newer players due to her powerful NP and decent battery. On top of being a strong farmer though, Ranmaru also works well as a pure crit DPS in boss fights. As an Avenger, she does have excellent attack damage to take advantage of, and thanks to her star bombs and star absorb, she has no issues with consistency when it comes to critting. She functions extremely well with an arch crit teams as a main DPS, and she packs decent utility with her defense, pierce, and cleanse. She does lack any form of hard defense though, which makes her very frail, especially given her low HP. Her fragility isn't her only drawback though, because despite her NP battery, her low internal NP gain still hurts her when it comes to farming more advanced quests. While she can easily farm most story nodes for materials and most free quests in any given event, don't expect Ranmaru to have the damage output needed to farm those 90 plus nodes. She also struggles with nodes that only have 1 or 2 enemies per wave, as well as against enemies that don't provide much NP refund like Berserkers. So while Ranmaru can be an excellent farmer for free-to-play players, she falls off hard when it comes to farming endgame nodes, and she does have her limitations in what types of enemies she can farm. Ranmaru fits well in most arch teams, but she needs to be the focal point of the offense due to the selfish nature of her skills. So no matter the role, you'll want to surround her with strong supports rather than sub-DPS types. For farming, I highly recommend servants who can provide arts buffing and large NP charge batteries like Summer Da Vinci Lily and Castoria. Castoria is self-explanatory as the best arts farming support in the game, but Lily also provides decent buffs and direct NP charge that Ranmaru really needs. For more crit focused builds, you can go with supports who lower cooldowns and provide stars and crit buffs like Tamamo and Lan Ling. Tamamo Normal's cooldown reduction makes it really easy to abuse Ranmaru's first skill, and she can also provide NP charge and additional damage, while Lan Ling can more directly buff Ranmaru's crit damage and provide stars. Ranmaru's Bond CE is May the Stars Be Aligned. It grants 30 crit stars when Ranmaru enters the battlefield one time. This is cool because it allows Ranmaru to actually generate a full 50 crit stars when using her skills for turn 1. So it has some use in extremely gimmicky first turn kill strats with Himiko and Super Orion, but for the most part it's not worth using. Instead, give Ranmaru CEs that bolster her NP damage like Black Grail and Ocean Flyer for better looping consistency, or CEs that improve crit damage like Another Ending and Gem Magecraft. In the future, I recommend using A on her if you can get it. A is a CE with full attack stats that gives her starting NP charge and increases her arch card effectiveness and crit damage, so it's perfect for Ranmaru. As for command codes, any code that increases crit damage on arch cards is strong on her, like Brush of a Mad Painter. Overall, Ranmaru continues the streak of strong welfare servants that we've gotten lately. She's an excellent arch looper for free-to-play and newer players who may not have access to the likes of Spishtar or Summer Sushi. She's an excellent arch farmer on all but the hardest endgame nodes, and she can also double as a strong crit DPS. Where she does suffer is in her poor defensive capabilities, which makes keeping her alive in longer fights an issue, and the fact that she's easily replaceable once you do get a top tier arch farmer. So all in all, Ranmaru gets an A from me. She does her job excellently and provides tons of value considering that she's a free servant. Not everyone is going to have a need for her, especially veteran players, but for those of you who do need a farmer, I think she's going to be your go-to for a long time to come. At least until we get Iya. And those are my thoughts on Ranmaru. I think she often gets overlooked as one of the better welfares, but truth be told, she is a very good pickup. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and consider subscribing if you really enjoyed the video. Join the party over in our Discord, chill with us on Twitch, and follow us on Twitter, all linked in the description down below. And I'll see you all in the next Servant Spotlight. Soberoni out. Later.